No anime had such a death grip on the internet in the early 2010s as Sword Art Online. I understand you're probably like, ugh, Tyler M3M3, why are you making an SAO video in the big 26? We got Tyler M3M3 SAO video before GTA 6. I know, I couldn't believe it either. And I wrote that joke long enough ago that it seemed relevant and good, but I didn't do the script for a long time, and now GTA 6 is almost here, so fuck you. But it seems like the digital landscape has both forgotten and rejected its roots of less modern anime. You can't go on a single anime forum without hearing JJK, Freering, or some other trash seasonal isekai. But today I wanted to talk about the anime that served as most people's intro to anime, and now it seems like it's the punching bag of the community. SAO gave us everything. Swords, video games, and the other things that satiated the desires of a hormonal teenager. But SAO was so much more than that. When Kirito steps into the world of Aincrad, it's evident from episode 1 that this show was special. The mystery of the unknown world and the chaos that enveloped it. The concept of, if you die in the game, you die in real life. It was just edgy enough that we all thought it was super duper cool. The Aincrad arc knew how to be cool, but it also knew how to tap into the emotions of the viewer. Moments like the guild's death and Sachi's Christmas letter are reminders of the cruel world that the players have been put into, but it also reminds us of that humanity within them. As we followed Kirito throughout his journey to clear the game, we experienced what daily life was like even within Aincrad. These slice-of-life elements made SAO so much more than just a cheap action sword-throwing burner. And I think it's important to acknowledge just how awesome the Aincrad arc really was. But that's where the fun ends. And if you ask anybody their opinion on SAO, they'll say something like, oh yeah, season 1 was awesome. The rest of it kind of sucked though. And as for proof, my friend Nick watched SAO back in 2018, so I went ahead and asked him his opinion on the show.
Oh yeah, season 1 was awesome. The rest of it kind of sucked though.
SAO is not a perfect show. There are a lot of things that I do wish it could have done better. I think this sentiment, though, that only the first arc was good and worth watching is ridiculous. So many people dropped the series as soon as the Alfheim arc started. This is arguably the weakest arc in SAO. The writing's whack. There's hentai tentacle monsters. Parts just don't make sense. There's incest. The pacing's rough. It just feels so weak compared to the Aincrad arc. But, I don't want to say that it was so awful that it was worth dropping the entire show over. I think the key problem or explanation is that the highs of Aincrad were so high that jumping down to Alfheim was enough fall damage to lose 10 Minecraft hearts. The problem wasn't that SAO became terrible. The problem was that people compared every single arc to Aincrad. It's really unfortunate that people drop the show here. When a certain part of a show is a stinker, it tends to tarnish the greatness of the rest of the series. SAO post Alfheim is, in my opinion, one of the best anime runs I've ever seen. The next arc up is the Phantom Bullet arc. The series takes a huge step in going from swords to guns. Edgy, I know. And as someone who watched this in like 2018, the fact that the story revolves around a battle royale during peak Fortnite hype was pretty nuts. The series takes a tonal shift too. People are scrambling to find a suspect in a case of murders where the players die both in-game and real life. Wait a minute, that's the same fucking plot. I don't give a f***, it's cool. Gun Gale also gives the series a darker tone, especially through Sinon and the way that it handles fear and trauma. Kirito is less edgy this time around, and instead he's a gigabrain, gun-wielding femboy detective. And I think that's awesome.
You're a guy with that avatar?
Most importantly though, I think it reminisces and delivers on some of the Aincrad nostalgia. Alfheim felt so out of touch with the SAO identity, and returning to those vibes in Gun Gale is like meeting up with an old friend. But while Gun Gale is good, the next arc of SAO is genuinely something I would consider to be peak cinema. Whatever issues you think SAO had before, Alicization feels like the series looked directly at the critics and said, alright, I'll fix it. The first thing that stood out to me in Alicization is the atmosphere. Aincrad had this trapped in a game feeling that made the world exciting and tense, but Alicization leans so much harder into that fantasy setting. The towns feel lived in, the environments are bigger, and the world has room to breathe. For once, SAO slows down a little and lets you exist in the setting instead of immediately rushing to the next major event. It gives the arc a different vibe from early SAO, but not in a bad way. It feels more mature and more confident in what it wants to be. The basic setup of Alicization is that Kirito ends up inside a new virtual world called the Underworld, where he meets Yu-Gi-Oh! And this relationship ends up becoming one of the strongest parts of the entire series, in my opinion. Yu-Gi-Oh! Isn't just another throwaway character who's there for an arc and then disappears. He has his own goals, his own struggles, his own development. The story actually takes time to build that friendship, and I think that's a huge reason why I've Alicization works. It also helps that Kirito feels different here. A lot of criticism around SAO paints him as the unstoppable, self-insert character, but Alicization gives him room to struggle. He isn't moving from fight to fight looking cool. He questions things, he fails, he relies on other people, and there's so much more weight behind his actions. It feels like the series finally gives him space to be more than the version of Kirito that people remember from the old internet debates. And visually, Alicization is just impressive. The fights look great, the environments are memorable, the soundtrack still hits, and there's these moments that genuinely feel epic in a way that SAO seasons sometimes rush past. It feels like the series put everything that it learned over the years into one arc. Now, is Alicization perfect? No. I still think there's some valid criticisms. Some people prefer Aincrad. That's fine. Some people have issues with parts of the arc. Fair. But the argument that SAO only had one good season gets a lot harder to make when Alicization exists. Because this isn't a series surviving off nostalgia anymore, this is SAO proving that it still had something left to say. So, is Sword Art Online perfect? Absolutely not. There are weird moments, there are arcs that don't hit, there are criticisms that I completely understand and even agree with. Like that AIDS girl arc, what the f was that? I'm not here to tell you that SAO is some untouchable masterpiece that every anime fan needs to worship, but I do think something strange happened over the years. The internet stopped talking about SAO and started talking about the idea of SAO. The meme version, the only Aincrad was good version, the version from the old clips with the arguments and the reputation that just kept snowballing. And somewhere in all of that, people forgot what made the series special in the first place. The mystery of Aincrad, the emotions behind touching moments, the atmosphere of living in another world, the risks that it took with Gun Gale, and the growth that we saw in Alicization. Was every swing a home run? No. Barely even hit first base. But this wasn't a series that died after one good arc. It kept going, and it kept changing. Sometimes it stumbled, sometimes it surprised people, and sometimes it reminded us why we liked it in the first place. For a lot of people, SAO was the gateway. It was late nights, MMO fantasies, cool swords, overpowered pro tags, and the feeling of wanting to live inside of a world on a screen. Maybe it wasn't the best anime ever, but I think it deserves more than being remembered as the cultural punching bag of the anime community. Because honestly, Sword Art Online is good, actually. If you liked this video, leave a like. I know it's been a wee bit since my last upload. My bad, I guess. Got a lot going on, but I thought you guys deserved a little upload. So, like, subscribe, bell, comment. I read those. And hopefully I'll have another one out to you guys soon.